Hey, Ron. Hey, Richard.
Hey, boss. How you doing?
Good. You?
Good evening.
Good.
You're looking a little more dressed up this evening, Ron.
Well, I always do for my area focus coordinators.
You're a funny guy.
So, Richard, I'm going to make you a co-host when we start the meeting. And I'm also going to make Iosif a co-host just in case anything technically happens at my end.
Very good.
And the district governor team talked about the idea of staying on the extra 30 minutes so that if there was any further discussion, we could have that as a buffer period.
Which is fine. I think most everybody's available.
Yep, all good. Have to be careful that I don't slop this red wine on my white shirt.
I'm only drinking water.
Or on your keyboard.
Yeah.
I guess I should change my name.
Oh, I should just have John. I should change mine probably too.
Joan, do you have a club president yet?
Do we have a president?
Yeah, I don't have a president-elect for Scarborough in my lineup.
No, they haven't selected one for the president-elect for next year. No, it hasn't been named.
What's going on?
I'm not quite sure. I'm not in, well, I'm on the board of directors, but I'm staying out of that one. I'm just going to say it that way.
Well, you could have a take two, Joan.
Well, actually, that's being knocked around. Trust me. So
keep it all in the family. Joan, John, Joan.
Right. Well, you might as well keep it in the family. I mean, you know, it's a busy year, though, I must admit. John didn't believe me. He now knows how busy it is.
Silly boy, silly boy.
Right. Well, I think Zooming has made it even that more, a bit more, well, I think it's a bit more complex. I'm not sure. My year was heavy, I would admit that. And I was still working, part-time at least. So yeah, it's been a busy year. It's been a challenge in trying to figure out things to do that are different.
Right.
Right. You know.
So the year I was club president, I needed a secretary. So I said to Barry, "You've been club secretary before."
Yeah. You've been
just be on the other side of the dining room table.
Yes. Yeah. We have that issue here too. Although sometimes it can get a little hot if we don't agree.
Yeah, a little heated.
Yes. But most of the time it works. It's kind of nice to be able to bounce. Oh, Jennifer. Hi, Jennifer. Oh, hold him up.
Hey, how's
I want to see him.
Her. Livy.
Her. Sorry, her. I'm sorry. I was just talking to someone who's just got a new boy. Sorry.
Hey. Oh my God, Jennifer. She looks so much like Ryan.
I know everybody.
Yes.
Yes.
But Jennifer's personality, we'll guess.
Oh yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Little Ryan.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
A Ryanette.
Yes, a little Ryanette.
Looks like red hair to me. Where'd that come from?
Is the hair redder?
Yeah, she's got, you know what? It depends on the lighting, but it does have a tinge of red to it. Yes, absolutely.
Where's that coming from?
Ryan.
Ryan.
She's
Ryan. Blame it on Ryan.
Ryan's like the mailman.
Ryan.
Oh, goodness. Blame it on the mailman.
No, no. When Ryan was little, he had really red hair too. So here we are. My daughter he can't deny she's yours. That's for sure.
She's very cute, Jennifer.
Well, thank you. She's very sweet. She's a good girl. She's very good and quiet and sweet.
That's good. Count those blessings.
Yes. Yeah.
She's so cute. Hi, Nisi.
Hello, how are you guys?
We're good.
Good evening.
Hey, who's Dr. Spock?
No, it's not. It's Scotty.
Just do it. But it looks, it's a Nike one.
Ron, why are you looking so formal?
Oh, because I got dressed up for all of you.
Oh, that's so nice of you.
Yes.
He looks good with it, though, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Hi,
This is
Nisi.
This is the lovely silk tie that Shaker sent me.
Nisi, did you get your hair cut?
Really?
I go Monday.
Bob was on our club meeting this morning, and of course, 80 people said, Nisi, you got your hair cut.
I actually could have gone last Wednesday night.
Mm.
So we had a pet session. So I said to the DG team, this gives new meanings to service above self.
It does. It does.
I have to say, Bob Wallace did a fantastic job this morning on our club meeting presenting about the foundation.
Oh, thank
Great.
you.
Mm-hmm.
Well done, Bob.
Thank you for that, Nisi.
Oh, no problem. It was fantastic. So it just flowed so nicely, and I had so many comments on the presentation itself. So.
Okay.
Well, you know, it's a bit of a can be a bit of a nebulous term concept for people.
Mm-hmm.
So unless they really get a presentation that helps them connect the dots, they just don't understand it.
Right. And you know what a lot of the members really commented on is Bob pulled like our reports from my Rotary. And so they were so interested to see, like, it wasn't just about, I mean, the foundation is interesting to me, but you know, some people don't find the foundation that interesting. But when it's about your club, they really zoomed in and they really listened. So that was really good.
And that's what I liked about last week's presentation when Mark was able to bring it to the district. Okay, now that you've heard from Bob, this is what we've done in the district.
Yeah.
Right? Helps people connect the dots, and they go, aha.
Yeah.
Well,
I highly recommend having, if you're incoming president, I highly recommend asking Bob to do the presentation to your club.
There's Josie from The Hague. What time of night is it there? It must be like 1 a.m. You're on mute. You're on mute, Josie. Quite animated, but you're still on mute.
Touch the space bar, Josie.
Oh, there she is. Josie, lower left button.
Depends what you're using, a laptop, an iPad mini.
they're all in little different spots just to keep it interesting.
Exactly, just to keep you guessing.
Yeah.
I do all my calls on the laptop.
Got lots of people rolling in.
Good. I'm just gonna say we got about 5 minutes before we start, so.
Let me know when the rest of my team are there.
Yeah, that's important, right, Richard? Although it's a good thing you had a dry run this morning. You could do it all yourself.
Well, Ron was there. He can probably do it now.
That's called passing the buck, I think.
Here.
What's that?
No reverse delegation here.
Well, he was singing your praises in an email earlier today, Richard.
Yeah, the crew did an amazing job, and you're in for a real treat. They've really done their homework, and you're going to get an educational packed session here tonight.
Good. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Richard was cracking the whip on the timeline. Woo.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
I love that. That's what I love about these meetings too. Like Beth is like, right on time. It's ending right at 8:30.
Well, this isn't the only thing in your life.
Yeah.
Some people would think it is, but it's not.
It's usually
Really
Mark
gives
that
you-
does that because there's usually a hockey game or something. So Martha will get the meetings finished. Yeah.
That's it.
No, I'm thinking it's probably, you know, I'm not into hockey, but I'm just thinking, you know, by 8:30, we've been at this for an hour and a half. It's time for people to go put their feet up, have a glass of wine, before they go to bed. You know, we've had enough, so let's move on.
Exactly.
Or just have a glass now.
Or have a glass down easy, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Cheers.
Okay, dokie then. Oh.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Marcy.
Hi, Marsh.
Hey, how's it doing?
Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Hey, Roger. Hey, Rick.
Hello, all. How are you?
Good, good, good.
And yes, everybody, Beth is very much on time with meetings like this. It's awesome. When she says it's over at 8:30, it's over at 8:30. I
Thanks,
love it.
Rick.
Yeah.
It's really powerful to have that end meeting for all red button.
Oh yeah.
It works. It works great. Second to the mute button. Jennifer, how do you keep the little one so quiet?
She's so good. Honestly, I'm
Look
like,
at that.
people keep asking me, oh, so when are you having another one? And I'm like, I don't want to jinx it, man.
Guess what, Jennifer? Guess what?
What?
They're not the same.
I know, exactly. That's why I said I'm not going to jinx it.
They don't come with a return to sender package.
No, exactly. So I would prefer to just, yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
And he's a future president.
Well, that's why I'm saying she's sitting in because she's got a lot of she's got some shoes to fill in a bit. We'll see. Yeah. Right, Liv? Good girl.
Okay, so Ron, I think in about 2 minutes time, we'll get started.
Okay, so Iosif, I've made you the co-host just in case anything technically goes down.
Thank you. Did you want me to let people in, Ron?
Yeah, wail away at your heart's content.
Okay. I was wondering why I'm allowed to let people in.
And Richard, I'll make you the co-host as soon as we start so you don't get all these invites. What a good looking bunch tonight.
Look at this.
What's this?
Look at you.
Just tonight.
Yeah, like every night. Well, come on. Ron.
Hey, come on, I'm still working.
John looks like he's wearing something out of Star Trek.
Yeah, it is, but it's not the captain and it's not Spock, it's Scotty.
Beam me up.
You should know that.
I was trying to
beam me up. Yeah, beam me up, Johnny.
Beam me up, Scotty.
Okay, guys, according to my computer clock, it's 7 o'clock. So I say, let's get started. Okay, we got a great night planned. So good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. This is our fourth President-elect training seminar. So we've got two really exciting topics tonight. We have our first segment is going to be on the areas of focus, and all of you are familiar with the areas of focus. But what we're going to do tonight is we're going to hear from the district team. And Richard Manwini is the district leadership team lead for the areas of focus. So he, with the committee leads, have developed a presentation for our pleasure tonight. And following that, we have a special guest who's going to speak to us from their perspective of being a club president. So I will just remind everybody to ensure that you put your questions in the chat box. And I'm going to suggest that at the end of the first segment, we'll answer questions, and at the end of the second, so that we don't disturb the presenters and their flow of information. So with that very short introduction, I'm going to turn it over to Richard, and welcome, Richard. Thank you very much to you and your team members, for what I know is going to be an excellent presentation tonight. So over to Richard.
Thank you very much. Our group has been extremely excited about the opportunity to present to the PETS session on the areas of focus and partnership. We heard a lot about foundation last week, and I think this week you're going to hear a lot of tie-in between the areas of focus and foundation as well.
I'm presenting.
So this evening, I'm going to provide a brief introduction. Then we are going to hear from each of the chairs of the respective area of focus committees, as well as HIP, Honoring Indigenous Peoples, John Curry. There's a couple of things that I'd like to leave you with at the very beginning of this. Just by way of setting some parameters for presidents-elect, we want to encourage clubs to provide details of, to the appropriate area focus committees dealing for any projects or activities that you have going on, so that we can be aware of what's happening within the district. The key thing is that the area focus committees are here to provide education and would like to provide sessions, seminars, leveraging outside speakers, where appropriate, of course, for the district on each of their areas of focus to enhance Rotarian engagement and their understanding in each area of focus. Each of the committees and members of the committees are available to aid Rotarians and clubs in the development of projects employing best practices, and help clubs with preliminary review of grant applications as they pertain to each of the areas of focus to help with successful grants. Communication, of course, is essential, and sharing of information is essential to create the coordination of projects. The areas of focus team needs a list of committee chairs and contact information so that we can do more together. And as a group, we are prepared to prepare spreadsheets so that we can create information on projects across the district by the area of focus, so that we have a better understanding of what's taking place in the district. So at this point in time, I'd like to turn it over to Maureen Bird from Rotary Club of Toronto, who is the chair for the maternal and child health segment. Maureen, I'll turn it over to you and I'll give you your 5 minutes.
Thank you, Richard. I'm glad to be here. Back up, please. You missed a slide. We're fortunate to live in a country with good access to healthcare and at extremely low cost to us. So most births in Canada are in hospitals or at home with a midwife. Our maternal death rate is a small fraction of that in developing countries. The same with the death rates for children under 2. We're very, very fortunate, but we can't be complacent because, as John Curry will well know, that a lot of these problems still exist in our First Nations. Next. The best practices can involve working with the right partners. The district recently did a project in Ethiopia providing birthing kits led by Etobicoke. It was in partnership with Ciosa. It was a country with a very high maternal mortality rate. The district raised $45,000 from 25 clubs. We didn't get a global grant, but with the government and Ciosa matching it 13-1, we got an additional $585,000. I think more than, 25 clubs were in this partnership. So we worked with an outside partner for matching. Next. We also can work with partners within our own districts. Global grants and international grants, the smaller ones up to 30,000, give us access to district and TRF funds. We send money to the foundation, as Bob Wallace well knows, and 3 years later, half of it comes back to us to help fund these grants. A great example of this combination of effort with clubs is what we're doing for the pediatric hospital in Beirut, where the surgery wing was totally destroyed in that explosion last summer. We have set up a global grant in this short period of time, led by Whitby's Sunrise. Thank you, Steve Rutledge, for handling all the details. It's a grant of almost $400,000. It's supported by 22 clubs from our district and DDF, and clubs and DDF from 7 other districts, and at least 50 individuals who have made individual contributions to this. So we work together. That's our best practice. Next. When you're looking for a partner on any project, you've got to look for one that's got a good idea of sustainability. One we've worked with since 2004 was Dignitas International in Malawi in the fight against AIDS. I've been there 4 times. In partnership with the Ministry of Health, they set up a program for testing, treating, and education. And the thing is, they set it up in a small district, got it right, got it working well, and then they moved it out to 6 other districts. Their most successful project was the prevention of mother-to-child transmission at birth, reducing the transmission rate from HIV-positive mothers from 30% to less than 0.1%. Because the locals were involved with this and got their training and did the work under the supervision of Dignitas, it's been a successful project, still continuing today. Next. I call this boots on the ground. If you want to do some good projects overseas, you need to have the good contacts in other countries. Toronto's been very active. We've got 10 of our own committee who have done work in other countries, either through Rotary or other charities such as Sleeping Children Around the World. There's a lot of other clubs that have had very active overseas visits. Eglinton, Alliston, Newmarket, Belleville, and Whitby Sunrise, to just name a few. This has allowed us to establish local connections with both Rotary clubs that can help us there and individuals to make the best decisions. Next, on to Khalid.
Thank you very much, Maureen. So the next presenter is Khalid Hassan, who is the chair of the Committee for Economic Development and Economic and Community Development. Khalid?
Good evening, President-elects, district leaders. Welcome to my presentation. It is my great pleasure to be with all of you, all the club leaders. Now I'll take you to the world where there's a great need for the leaders like you to change the lives of people. Did we know nearly 1 billion people will go to bed without food tonight? Did we know 1.3 billion people are in extreme poverty? Around 1.25 or $1.50 a day. Can we think about 500 million children in Africa is out of school? 1 billion people, they don't have toilet. The defecate here and there everywhere. 17% of the world's adult population is illiterate. They cannot read or write. 70 million people are displaced due to conflict, violence, and human rights violations, and half of them are children. My friends, think about it. There are many serious problems, and that is why we are here today to discuss how we can change the lives through our contribution. Next. Rotary International, that is why, has given it so much importance of economic and community development, and is one of the 7 areas of focus. Eliminate poverty and empowerment. This is the ultimate mantra. It is for all human beings we need to do. We need to create jobs, reduce unemployment, underemployment. We need to create productive employment opportunities. We need to provide income security and empowerment, especially for the women, people with disabilities, youth, and extremely poor people anywhere in the world, and focus in diversity, inclusion, and equity, DEI. And this is the role of all the Rotarians to help people. Next, some of the elements of economic and community development. Before considering any project, we need to do need assessment, whether it's supporting their employment, food, shelter, basic needs, women, children, poor, all. These are things we'll have to do research, and we all know that we'll have to do it. Educating our people, educating our Rotarians, educating our stakeholders, how to use the loan capital, mentoring, is there networking, and finally, we'll have to develop all the projects for sustainability. Next. There are many projects in the district. I'm highlighting only one so that we all understand how one economy and community development project can change the life of millions. This is the case of Honduras, our neighboring country, third poorest country in the Americas, second in Latin America, 9.4 million people, and 66% of people, they live below poverty, less than $1 or $2 a day, and 16% unable to meet their basic needs, food, shelter, medicine. 500,000 Hondurans are trying to start their business. And here, we the Rotarians came forward. Our district, neighboring districts, and some Rotary from the United States. We have started a multifaceted project on microfinance, water and health. 9,000 entrepreneurs, they have started their business. 56% of them are women, and repayment rate is 97%. Think about it, that project. We are helping millions of people in Honduras. Next. Can you go next? I can see it.
I did go next. I think we may have lost Khalid. So he just wants to emphasize what can you do with club and club members to raise club profile. He's talking about branding for the community to share the reality economic.
I'm here.
Okay.
Richard, I'm back.
You have just a couple of seconds left.
Yeah, okay. So this is here our president can do, raising the club profile, community development, and finally the branding of ourselves, how we can brand our club. Next. The president-elects. Here we'll have to set the KPIs for our club and club members. It should be numeric. For example, number of ECD presentations, webinars, number of global grants, creating online speakers panel, and so on. And these all should be numeric so that we can evaluate end of the year how our club is performing. Thank you so much. I alone cannot change the world, but I can cast a stone across the waters to create many ripples by St. Teresa. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. So next is Joan Barrett, who's the chair of the Committee for Basic Education and Literacy. Joan?
Good evening. Thank you, Richard. As you're looking at our purpose and goals, I want you to just think about some other things. We need to increase the awareness of the severity and impact of illiteracy for both children and adults, and support the implementation of education projects that strengthen the capacity of communities. Without a basic education, so many opportunities for a longer, productive life are lost. I've seen it for myself in places like Laos and Cambodia, as well as in my own province and own city. Research has proven that a basic education does lead to a better life for most. Basic educational literacy is often interwoven with other areas of focus. Perhaps the best example is the provision of water and sanitation to an area, which generally means more children can go to school, especially girls. In this photo is a Rotarian from Wilmot, Ontario, who goes to schools and libraries, giving of his time to support literacy, time and a very little bit of money. Next slide, please. The pandemic has impacted learning for all. We're not just looking at developing countries, folks. It's a problem right here at home too. There's a county in South Carolina that has done testing. The US is more test crazy in education than we are. And they have found that the average student is already a year behind because of the pandemic. There's another big concern. Will children return to school? In developing countries, here, this is a worldwide concern in the education community right now. Some parts of Africa are using the radio to try and keep education going. Next slide, please. There are a number of things that clubs are doing, and you can read most of them there. I'm going to pull a couple out as examples, but just a few of the bigger ways and smaller ways that we as Rotarians can get involved. BellRag, our RAGs, Rotary Action Groups. BellRag is an amazing organization that is working hard on literacy in Guatemala. Rotaractors, this year, the Willowdale Rotaractors are reading via Zoom for Black History Month using picture books. RUTA, Rising Out of the Ashes, giving people the opportunity to make sellable items from trash. This is something that we've been supporting for some time. Next slide, please. The emergence of Zoom during this pandemic, lessons to learn. There are so many things that we have to think about, but one of the things we've had to look at is how do you do online teaching? Free reading, which the Scarborough Rotary Club started, has been an amazing device. Over 350,000 families are currently using it, and it is growing by leaps and bounds. It also means that we as Rotarians have to think about the devices students need in order to do online learning. Next slide, please. This is literacy in action in different parts of the world. Enthusiastic, engaged students, and they're using technology in different ways. Sometimes we only have one computer. Sometimes we have several. But no matter which way, education is important, and we do have to get more devices to countries. Next slide, please. And what can you do? We've given you a few ideas up here. Do you know about the education in your own schools? Are the EQAO scores low? Since 1995, the education in the province of Ontario's budgets have been severely cut. So we have developing countries that need books and devices. We have our own schools that are in need. Even just volunteering, and BellRag can give you a little pamphlet on how to go into a school and read to students and be a guest reader or actually tutor students on a one-on-one basis. It's powerful. I used to do it in my own school. You can also join with other clubs for an international project. But I think the big thing is to set a goal, get involved, pursue a literacy project. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So our next speaker is Ian Lancaster from the Rotary Club of Campbellford, and he is the chair for Peacebuilding and Conflict Prevention. Ian?
Thank you, Richard. I'd like to share just a brief overview of the broad subject of peace building and conflict prevention area of focus. Peace has been one of Rotary's top goals almost since the day Paul Harris founded in 1905. At the 1914 convention, the membership adopted a resolution proposed by the Rotary Club of Hamilton, Ontario, that the International Association of Rotary Clubs, quote, lend its influence to the maintenance of peace among the nations of the world, close quote. 100 years ago in 1921, with the memories of World War I fresh in their minds, delegates to the Rotary International Convention in Edinburgh, Scotland, incorporated in Rotary's constitution the goal, quote, to aid in the advancement of international peace and goodwill through a fellowship united in the Rotary ideal of service, close quote. Peace is a cornerstone of our mission. We refuse to accept conflict as a way of life. We are striving to make peace a reality, to take those first steps towards peace where people are able to resolve their conflicts without violence and work together to improve the quality of their lives. We must look at the foundational pieces of peace building. Our members take action to address the underlying causes of conflict, including poverty, discrimination, ethnic tension, lack of access to education, and unequal distribution of resources through Rotary projects encompassing all of our areas of focus, and supporting peace fellowships and scholarships. Rotary continues to lead in pursuing peace through its Peace Scholar programs by educating individuals and funding broad-based projects such as vocational training teams based in the peace and conflict prevention area of focus. Rotary projects provide training that fosters understanding and provide communities with the skills to resolve conflicts. Our commitment to peace building today answers new challenges: how we can make the greatest possible impact and how we can achieve our vision of lasting change. We are approaching the concept of peace with greater cohesion and inclusivity, broadening the scope of what we mean by peace building and finding more ways for people to get involved. Rotary creates environments where peace can happen. Next, please, Richard. What can you do as president-elects, as many of the world peacemakers have done, to share the peace building process? First, be self-aware. Be aware of the carefulness of thought and of your personal peace. Second, make a conscious effort to remove areas of conflict. Maintain a peaceful attitude and use peaceful communication. Third, be inclusive of all parties with honor and equality. And last, be conscious of care. Long-term peace comes with lifelong learning. Next. Rotary has taken on 4 areas of promoting peace. You as members are practitioners, as advocates for a myriad of projects around the world in our 6 other areas of focus. You directly build the optimal conditions for peaceful societies. As educators, our Rotary Peace Centers have trained over 1,400 peace fellows to become effective catalysts for peace through careers in government, education, and international organization. As mediators, our members have negotiated humanitarian ceasefires in areas of conflict so that local polio vaccinators can reach children at risk. We are all advocates. We have an integral role as respected, impartial participants during peace negotiations and in post-conflict reconstruction. We create communities and convene groups that are connected, inclusive, and resilient. Next, please. The Rotary Action Group for Peace and our service partners, the Institute for Economics and Peace, and Mediators Beyond Borders International, provide Rotary members with resources and support to advance peace efforts and turn ambitious ideas into life-changing realities. Take a look at their educational links to gain a better understanding of peace building, and take a few moments to look at the Rag for Peace's video. One planet, one human race. Peace is different for every one of us, in ourselves, in our families, our communities, and our world. Rotary is a global force for peace building. Thank you. Richard.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Chuck Taylor, and he will be talking about
disease prevention.
Disease prevention, thank you.
And treatment.
Where did you disappear to? There we go.
I'm right there. There's my smiling, happy face. Listen, I wanted to back off a bit and perhaps put all of this in a context. In the leading up to the year 2000, the beginning of a new millennium, the United Nations created a raft of what were called Millennium Development Goals. And they were everything from the food production, basic education and literacy, infant mortality. And they, by year, it was 15 years, 2000 to 2015, and they achieved some incredible results. One of the most notable was in the year 2000, over 2 billion people were living on $1.25 a day. They knocked that back to just under 1 billion. Unfortunately, COVID has knocked it back up to 1.3 billion, but that's just one indication of their success. And in 2015, they set what were then called Sustainable Development Goals out to the year 2030. So number 3 is ensuring healthy lives and promoting the well-being for individuals of all ages. And the point they're making is the development they're talking about is human development across every measure: physical health, mental health, spiritual health, and just a feeling of well-being. And without basic health, development is not possible. And at this time, half the global population doesn't have access to essential health. The UN is focusing on immunization, HIV, tuberculosis, malaria, and maternal and child health, which I left off because it was spoken about earlier. And progress has been good, but everything's been disrupted by COVID. And one of the concerns is that immunization has fallen off, and that will lead to downstream diseases, just as education falling off is going to lead to downstream literacy. So COVID maps across all of this. But all of these areas of focus are important. Next, please. So Rotary has implemented dozens of programs worldwide, things as simple as paying for bed nets to prevent malaria, buying medical equipment, and education. Next. But I do want to talk about the global polio eradication initiative. That is our signature accomplishment. You've probably heard all about it. But to go from 185,000 cases in 1985, actually it was 385, to 140 last year and one so far as of last week this year is a tremendous accomplishment. And Rotary, including the Gates Foundation match, has put up $2.4 billion, of which is what is close to a $10 billion program worldwide. It's also funded by national governments, United Nations, and so on. Next slide, please. So what are we up to? Well, more than half our clubs did COVID projects early this year. We did through a district grant buy some portable anesthesia units for Tanzania through the Rotary Club of Belleville, and the Rotary Club of Willowdale built a seniors garden to promote mental health. So health has many dimensions. And you already heard about the Karantina Hospital in Lebanon from under the Maternal and Child Health. But it is amazing that 22 clubs, and actually including individuals, 39 clubs and individuals supported that in our district. Next. So how do you help? Well, first of all, I've looked at the numbers and we've only raised about half our target for polio this year. So take a look at what your club is doing. We've been asked to provide $30 per member as the contribution by Rotary International. So if your club's falling behind, encourage them to catch up. And one of the other ways to get involved without going through the complex global grant, not so complex district grant process, is to get involved with the district grants from other clubs. It's a great way of getting started. You can put up $2,000. If a number of clubs support that, your $2,000 will be matched with another $2,000 and you'll be doing good in the world. So it's all about really getting your foot in the water and getting started because there's still a lot of work to do and we're working in partnership with others and we're gonna get there.
Thank you very much. So the next is our newest area of focus, environmental action, and the chair is Neelam Bedi from Rotary Club of Eglinton. Neelam.
Thank you, Richard. Hello, President-elect. I think you are one of the luckiest groups around because as you take up office on July the 1st, Rotary adds the 7th area of focus. So this will be a memorable year for you. Now, I had the fortune or the misfortune of being involved helping Rotary International craft their the final policy statement. And you can go on their website and check. And this statement really covers a lot of activities right from protection of land, marine, coastal resources, to climate change, to education, and sustainable consumption. I won't go through that. Each one of these has further 5 or 6 categories each. So more guidelines will follow in the months to come. Next, please. And Rotary area of focus may be new to Rotary, but Rotary is definitely not new to the environment. Paul Harris, our founder, he was a nature lover, joining a group in 1908 dedicated to outdoor recreation. And in fact, that's where he met his wife. Next, please. Now, we are all familiar with the universal and intense focus on the environment. Local issues cumulatively have global impacts, and global outcomes in turn have local impacts. It's all around us. Next, please. Now, these issues manifest in many ways. Water shortage, droughts, floods, ice storms, and so on. Next, please. Now, we can keep on looking at these issues at a 60,000 foot level, or if we come down, there are some issues really up closer. They really hit home. And I'm going to pick only a couple of them to illustrate the point. One is that of plastics. I mean, there's almost 500 million tons of plastics produced each year. Packaging is much of that. And there are estimates of that billions of pieces of plastic are floating around everywhere in the ocean. Now, with all kinds of complications. This visual will give you a little bit of it's only the tip of the iceberg. There's a whole lot written up about it, but that is one of the more serious environmental issues around. And another one which is really worldwide, that of food waste. Food is something that it draws a significant resources of the planet in growing it and packaging it and marketing it. And yet, estimates are that 1/3 of all that food is wasted. It's especially serious in the Northern Hemisphere in the Western world. Over 100 kilograms per person annually, this goes to waste. Now, if food waste was a country, it would be the 3rd largest emitter. And there are all kinds of interesting visuals about so many CN Towers worth of food waste. So that's something which a lot of Rotary clubs around the world are involved in. Now, at the district level, now we can take a look at all these issues, but the environment is a very broad issue and can be seen through different lenses. And you can look at it, what kinds of, is it an air issue, is it a water issue? We can look at it in terms of the type of issue, plastics, habitat, pollution, or we can take a look at whose responsibility is it? Is it the government? Is it more of an investigation by the academia, individuals? And what kind of actions are required? Is it advocacy alone, awareness, practical actions? Again, the question for the president-elects here will be, and how does your club see the environment? And how can you engage your members and potential members? Because a lot of the younger demographics around the non-Rotarians, they really are very keen on the environment. So how can we tap into that energy? And what difference can we make in our communities? So that is something for you to ponder. Next, please. Now, while we can throw up our hands and say the environment is too big an issue, too complex, let someone else do it. We at the district, our environmental committee, is taking a very practical approach. One is, we'd like our clubs and the district to plan and implement projects which are relevant in our context. So, number one, we are building on what is already happening all around us. At the same time, we are scanning the globe to see what kind of interesting approaches are being taken. Now, for example, if we want to increase the awareness about environmental issues, there's a lot written up. So that is not just to add to the volume of information that's already out there, but that is to make sense of all that information and translate that into some actions and practical steps. And so we are moving to increase our visibility in the community and building our global and local networks. And really one final area that we really need to focus on in the next few months is how do we get our clubs ready for the 7th area of focus. There will be opportunities for grants, so we are getting ready for that.
You have just about 30 seconds.
Okay. Well, I'll speak fast, but the next slide, please. And now, in terms of what's happening here is, lots of examples of what's going on. And our committee is keen to make presentation. You can call us anytime. But so I won't go into the laundry list here. Richard, next slide, please. Now, there are a couple of opportunities coming up. We are working on an ecological footprint tracker, a carbon foot tracker. These are things, and anyone interested, please contact us. But one of the most high-profile things that will be happening in a couple of months is Great Lakes watershed cleanup. Now, it is not just the Great Lakes. Anyone in the Great Lakes watershed, so can be a park, can be rivers, can be the lakefront. And there are 15 neighboring districts, at least 15 involved. And this will be marking the Earth Day, April 22nd, but our district is planning to go out in a big force on April the 24th. There are contingencies around COVID restrictions, and our committee, in fact, one of your president-elect, Dan Coombs, who is present here today, has taken the lead. We are developing further guidelines for individual clubs and checklists, helpful hints. So we look forward to seeing all your clubs come out in a large number. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up is myself for Water, Sanitation, and Hygiene. My name is Richard Mawhinney, and I'm with the Rotary Club of Newmarket. So our mission as a committee is to be available as an available resource on topics related to water, sanitation, and hygiene. That can be through one-on-one consultations, providing speakers to clubs, and our hope is to coordinate education sessions for the district on water. We're also available to consult with Rotary clubs and Rotarians on questions relating to WASH. It wouldn't be the first time, but frequently we hear about a WASH project that clubs are interested in. And we would be more than happy to work with your club to understand and review best practices. In the past year, we've had the opportunity to review a number of grant applications prior to submission to provide input and guidance to assist for successful grant submission. Clean water and sanitation, education are basic necessities for a healthy environment and productive life. You've already heard about that through many of the other areas of focus. When people have access to clean water and sanitation, waterborne diseases decrease and children stay healthier and attend school more regularly. Also, as it's already been referred to, mothers and young girls can spend less time carrying water and more time helping their families and staying in school. There's a number of water projects that have happened across our district. These are just a few of the projects that are related to water and sanitation that have been taking place over the past few years. A global grant in Bugiri, which is in Uganda. That is a large water project, and that is being hosted by the Rotary Club of Toronto Eglinton. A global grant, which is new this year, which is a large water project in Ghana, and that is being hosted by the Rotary Club of Oshawa Parkwood. And of course, we have a number of district grants. District grant, Adopt a Village in Laos, which is operated by Steve Rutledge out of the Rotary Club of Whitby Sunrise. And that is to provide clean water access to remote villages in Laos. A district grant in Unguta, Uganda, which is in northeastern Uganda, Water Collection for Sustainability, and that is a project from our club, Rotary Club of Newmarket. And finally, there's another district grant in Lebanon, and that is providing water access to Al-Qa, which is a village in a remote area of Lebanon. And that's also through Rotary Club of Newmarket. If you're interested in water, what we strongly suggest is take a look at the sanitation, water sanitation and hygiene Rotary Action Group. Used to be referred to as WashRag. It was actually renamed last year. And so now it is known as the Water Sanitation and Hygiene Rotary Action Group. But you can find that on the website, www.wasrag.org. If your club has a water project, let us know. We can assist. If you don't know where to start, support another water project in the district. There are opportunities to help financially, as also for active participation if you have Rotary members in your club that are interested in participating on the ground. And plan an event perhaps for World Water Day. This year it's March 22nd, 2021. Water sanitation and hygiene, we're very fortunate in our district to have Ron Dick, who was the founder of WashRag, and he is a resource to our committee, and we frequently consult with him. And so if you have any questions on water sanitation and hygiene, or if you are working on a water project, please let us know. We can do more when we're working together. Finally, our partnership group tonight. The coordinator for this is John Curry, and he is the executive director for helping Indigenous persons. So John?
Thank you, Richard. And the very first thing I want to say is congratulations to all the president-elects. You're part of one of the greatest districts in my mind in Rotary, and you've got a really great support team behind you. It's where it's a place where an idea, a thought, can actually become a world movement, and that's exactly what HIP is. You'll see that our vision is that all Indigenous and non-Indigenous people work together, interconnected and interdependent, and that thought happened long before COVID. Has COVID taught us anything? It's taught us that we're interconnected and interdependent. This thought came from Rotarians from the Rotary Club of Toronto, who said, you know what, we're doing this wonderful work all around the world. Why aren't we doing something here at home in partnership with our Indigenous people? And out of that thought and out of 2 years worth of investigating and assessing and research and consultation with Indigenous people, HIP was born. HIP is a partnership between Rotarians and Indigenous people. It's 50% Indigenous, 50% non-Indigenous, 50% Rotarian. Eventually, in the future, it could actually be 100% Rotarians. We are actually seeing many Indigenous people who are participating in what we're doing becoming Rotarians as we move forward. The greatest thing, one of the best things that we have is that we're 50% women and 50% men, and we're geographically dispersed. Next slide. Here's a snapshot, and we will be leaving the slides behind for you to look at. So this is really more of a reference for you in the future. Our board is coast to coast, and we very soon will have an Inuit member of our board, which will make us coast to coast to coast. And these are all leaders within their own region or territories. And you know what, as a board, is a large board of 20 members, but they are the who's who of across Canada when we're talking about race relations with Indigenous people. Next. The other thing that we've done is that we have district coordinators in almost every district across Canada, but as we were on our journey, we had interest from other parts of the world as well. So we now have district coordinators in places like Hawaii, Arizona, Australia. There's interest in New Zealand and Fiji and Mexico and other countries as well. Anywhere colonialism occurred, there's an interest to participate because there's a need for race relationships. Right now, Nicole Patterson is our district coordinator right now here. However, she will be moving up into Sault Ste. Marie here shortly. And when she moves, she'll be part of another district and be the district coordinator for that. We have a district coordinator that will replace her. But if you have a need within our own district, please reach out to me at this point. Next slide. The commonality between Indigenous people and Rotarians is uncanny. It's amazing of the things that we share in common. We have shared passion and we have shared challenges. And you just heard from these wonderful people ahead of me about peace building and children and literacy and economics and disease prevention and environmental. These are all things that we share in common with our Indigenous brothers and sisters. And so with 720 Rotary clubs across Canada and 633 First Nations across Canada, it just makes sense that we partner and we work together instead of tripping on each other or working separately. I mean, there's so much more energy together. In fact, I think it was Ian Risley that said, we can do so much more together than we could do alone. And I would definitely agree with that as we work with Indigenous people. Next slide. There is lots of wonderful things going on in our district, and I'm so proud that our district was the one that initiated this whole action to begin with. I can't say enough. In fact, even the fact that I'm here now, part of the area focus group is a big indication of how advanced and forward-thinking our district is. So I applaud our district. In fact, I use our district in every talk that I have around the world as an example and model for other districts. And I encourage and inspire you to be able to also get involved. Next slide. To get a slide, if you haven't had a HIP talk yet by me, please call me and reach out to me because I'm happy to do it. This session is very, very short, so it's very limited on what I can actually provide. But there is a process on how to engage Indigenous people properly. And wherever we can share information and help you do it in the right way, we're happy to do that. Please reach out, join HIP. It's free to do. Again, go to www.honoringindigenouspeoples.com and reach out to us, and we're happy to help. Thank you very much for the time.
Thank you very much. So I'm just going to quickly sum up some action items to consider as presidents-elect as we prepare for our year next year. If you happen to be a president-elect for a larger club, have you considered naming a coordinator for each area of focus? Or if you're from a smaller club, name a single area of focus coordinator to be a point contact for the area of focus committees. Perhaps this may be a method for you to engage a new member to help with their involvement and understanding of Rotary. Keep the Action and Partnership Committee aware of your projects or the area of focus of your area of focus activities. Communication, as has been expressed many times tonight, is key. Tap into the expertise of the area of focus committees and reach out to the area of focus leaders to speak to your club. Remember, we are here to help your clubs understand the areas of focus in District 7070. And we have a wealth of experience to share. As John mentioned, we will be sharing the slide deck tonight to the presidents-elect. So at the back end, we have included contact for each of us. So please leverage on the information that's available. And with that, thank you very much. And if there are any quick questions, we'd be happy to deal with those. And I think District Governor-elect Ron, I believe you said that we might hold over after the evening in the event that people might have additional questions.
So Richard, I want to thank you and the area focus leaders for an excellent presentation tonight. I know that as Rotarians, we're aware of the areas of focus, but it's really important. And it was really great to hear tonight the district perspective. So thank you very much. We do have an opportunity for questions. I did ask District Governor nominee Iosif and District Governor nominee designate John to monitor the chat box. So I'm going to turn it over to them for a few minutes to see if there are some questions that they can bring forth and then let the leaders and yourself speak to those questions. So over to Iosif and John for a couple minutes.
Strangely, the questions that were coming up on the chat box all seem to have been answered during the period of the presentation. So there are none from the chat box that we need to deal with.
Okay, well, thank you for that, John. So we do have a few minutes, so let's just open it to all the participants. Are there some questions that people would like to pose to Richard as the district lead or to our area of focus leaders on any of the topics that you heard tonight? So if you want to put your hand up or put your name in the chat box, we're happy to call on you and you can raise your question with our presenters. Don't be shy. Ron Dick, DGE.
Well, Trainer Beth, just to follow up on Richard's comment, while everybody's thinking about their questions, I'm happy to keep the Zoom meeting open. I know we promised to have you out of here by 8:30, but if any of you do want to stay on afterwards for more of a discussion or questions with our area focus coordinators, I'm happy to keep the Zoom open so that you can do that.
I see a hand from Peter Hernandez from Oshawa.
Yeah, hi, good evening. That was a lot of information, and a lot of it we just zoomed right by. And as much as I tried to focus and pick up, obviously there's so much to learn, and that's why this is just a bit of a taster or a teaser as to everything that there is to learn and the best practices in our upcoming year. So on that final page of what's going to be handed out, there seems to be a list of about 6 or 7 contacts you just finished mentioning. Reach out to you guys individually, have you come to our clubs, and you'll be happy to share similar presentations and educate our members on each one of these 7 or so topics that we just ripped right through. Question for you is, should we schedule, what's a good pace to have you through? Like there were 7 presenters. Would it be 1 presenter per meeting and maybe just fill up the first 3 months of our presidencies with this stuff so that we get it tackled and managed and into our members' thoughts and action plans as soon as possible? And how quickly are your time slots filling up?
I think right now a few suggestions. One is your club may have a project or a particular interest in one of the areas of focus. You may want to consider inviting the chair or a member of that committee to speak to your club on that. If your club doesn't have a good understanding on the areas of focus, we can certainly construct a presentation not dissimilar to tonight that at least outlines the basics of the areas of focus and make sure that people have the contact. So I think we can do this in a variety of fashions. We're really excited that we had the opportunity to speak tonight because we think the areas of focus largely have been misunderstood and what we do at the district level on the areas of focus. And this is going to be a great opportunity. This has been a great opportunity to make the presidents-elect aware, and hopefully you'll be filling our schedules with opportunities to speak to your clubs or individuals that have interest in the areas of focus as well as projects.
And Peter, you're ahead of the wave. I speak to your club next week.
Marcy's got a question.
Okay, Marcy, go ahead.
Thank you, Beth. My question is to Neelam Bedi. I spoke with you a little while back, Neelam, and we managed to get together over the telephone. And I just found out today that actually I was part of the instigation that our club does have a committee for the environment, and there's a director and a chair that were put in place today. So I expect that you will be contacted very shortly to do a presentation with us, if that's would be a possibility. You may have already spoken with Julie from our Rotary Club of Scarborough.
Thank you, Marcy. No, we would be definitely glad to do that. And in fact, we've started making the rounds. And one of the things, as you mentioned about setting up a committee, there is no one best way of doing it. Different clubs are doing it in different fashions. And our committee is also rolling out a toolkit, which will give kind of best practices. So it really, you have to fit that into the culture and the interest of your members.
That's terrific. Thank you.
And I think, Renata, you've got your hand up. You're muted.
Yeah, yes, yeah. So I wanted to just talk a little bit about the environmental part. I mean, we are doing right now a lot of studies on how the environment actually is, beside what we know, but it's also for the business part. So basically what is coming up with the majority of the especially, you know, luxury brands, they are very, very interested in partnering with companies to support the environment, because it's going to be part of their marketing campaign. So my suggestion to people that perhaps don't know how to address this or what, just contact companies, because the environment is going to be a number one to attract the new generation, okay? So this is what is coming up through the studies that we are doing right now. And I think it's positive, and it makes it easier for us as Rotarians, because we are not going to go just knocking at doors to raise funds, but we are going to go knocking at doors and to support them actually to implement certain projects.
That's a very good point, Renata. And I think one of the things you mentioned is not only businesses, but the governments as well. And yes, Rotary, in a way, is a Johnny-come-lately to the group, or others may view it. But we do not need to duplicate that. We need to build on that and leverage partnerships. And then I'm going to be speaking on one of the things. There's a outfit in India which is looking at the luxury brands and the environment.
Yeah, we are doing a study for the House of Cartier right now, and I am telling you, everything there goes around the environmental, because obviously you're looking at the Generation X coming up, and so basically it's so important, and it's everywhere. Okay, that was just my thought. Okay.
So I think we're running out of time. Are we not, past District Governor Beth?
We have a couple of minutes for a couple of more questions, if there are some with our participants. See any other hands up there, Richard?
Not on the screen I'm looking at, Beth.
Okay, me either. John, Iosif, do you see anything else?
No, I've been going back and forward and I don't see any.
Okay, well then, Richard, on behalf of the President-elect Training Seminar planning team, I want to thank you and the area focus leaders for an excellent presentation tonight. We only put one of our younger Rotarians to sleep, Livy. She's sound asleep with Jennifer. So everybody else is wide awake. But anyway, thank you very much. It's an excellent presentation. And I know it was a lot of information for everybody to grasp in a short period of time, but we did want to just give you a little bit of information, just as a bit of a teaser. Get your toe in the water. You've got some people that you can reach out to in the district who are leaders in those different areas of focus. Obviously, they're willing to come and speak with you and guide you through a further discussion and perhaps even a district or a global grant. So thanks very much. Let's give our presenters a round applause. And you, Richard, you and the team, you're welcome to stay for the second part of our evening, but if you have something else to do, you're more than welcome to move along.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so the second part of our training seminar tonight, it's my pleasure to introduce our special guest, RI Director and Rotary International Vice President-elect, Valerie Wafer. And we've invited Valerie tonight to come and talk about her personal experience as a club president. So Valerie was president of the Rotary Club of Whitby in 2008, 2009, and she was District 7070 District Governor in 2013-14. So Valerie, welcome. We're looking forward to your presentation tonight, and I will turn it over to you to talk about your experience as a club president and provide some insight and some inspirational messages to our president-elects. Welcome.
Thank you so much. And I always love being with my family in District 7070. And a big to Olivia. It's so cute that you were rocking her and she fell asleep. So you look wonderful as a brand new mother, Jennifer. It really suits you. And it's great to see everyone else. Thank you so much for the invitation, District Governor-elect Ron and PDG Beth and Trainer Beth for inviting me to be with you tonight. And it was really kind of fun to reflect on my year as president of the Rotary Club of Whitby. So it was kind of fun to put my thoughts together, and I hope that you can find some tips that perhaps would be helpful for you. So, you know, I look around, it's a very diverse group, but the one thing we have in common is that as of July 1, we're all going to begin a new Rotary year, and each of you will be president of your club. And Rotary International President-elect Shaker Mehta has inspired us with a brand new theme, serve to change lives. Being club president, honestly, is the best job ever. And as was mentioned, I joined Rotary in 2005 in the Rotary Club of Whitby. And in case you didn't know, my husband is actually a member back in District 7070, part of the Rotary Club of Whitby Sunrise. So I think Nisi stole him away from my club. But anyways, I joined Rotary Club of Whitby, and it was August, and the president-elect was looking for members to serve on the board. And he approached me. And of course, my immediate reaction, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate, was no way, no way. I just want to be a member. I'm a brand new Rotarian. I'm not interested in leadership, running a business, have 2 children at home. You remember what it was like to be that brand new member. It was so intimidating. Even just think of the acronyms that we use. And I know we try to avoid today, but I swear it took me like 5 years to learn the acronyms. And so thinking about leading in in that environment was just like, I was just too new, too green, not to mention not really understanding and appreciating the power of our Rotary Foundation or the history of our history in the eradication of polio, or even what a district was. And I certainly didn't know what a zone was or which part of the zone, which zone we were part of, which is zone 28, in case you didn't know. But anyways, it was all brand new to me. But after a few more taps on the shoulder, a little bit of persuasion from Mr. Des Newman, for those of you who know him, he's a pretty persuasive guy. I said yes, and before I knew it, I was the president in 2008 and 2009, so 3 years after I joined Rotary. And our theme for that year was Make Dreams Real. And actually, it's the first time I've kind of reflected back on that theme in a long time, because we've had themes come and go, and they've each impacted us, and we've each embraced them and made them our own. But make dreams real. Never in my wildest imagination or dream would I be able to look forward 13 years from that first leadership role as a club president to the role as a director on the board of Rotary International. And you know what? This is the beauty of Rotary and the beauty of the opportunities that are ahead of us. So many of you, if you know me, know that I spent 25 years as a Tim Horton franchisee in Scarborough. And my background before that was in corporate finance. I ran a business 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for 24 years, 25 years. But I learned more from leadership in Rotary than I ever did in business, because it's so much different and so much more valuable to lead volunteers and have to keep them engaged when there isn't a monetary paycheck that they're collecting at the end of that work week. And I think you've probably encountered this. But just like in our own business, our Rotary team comes in all shapes and sizes. And you know, we know that there are those who put up their hand for everything, right? Every committee, every lead in every service project. And I know you've all experienced that in your Rotary Club. And sometimes our role as presidents or leaders is to kind of make sure we're giving others a chance and making sure we bring in new talent. And there's those members who are asked, who never put up their hand, and until they're asked, never saw themselves as leaders. And I really think that back when I joined Rotary, this was the category that I really fit into. So I thought I would share just a few tips completely from my learned experience. And I wasn't kidding when I say, and this reflection was so wonderful for me to do this week, what I really, being a club president is and was the best job ever. So if I could be president of my Rotary Club again, my current self would love to help out my old self. So that's kind of what these tips are all about. So first of all, have goals, but be flexible. This year has shown us what real life can throw our way. I know there has been disappointment, clubs and district events that had to go virtual, new ways of fundraising, this president-elect training that's online. There's advantages, you're in your home. I see a few glasses of wine being poured, so there are advantages, there's no doubt about that. But I think, you know, even though it didn't go as planned or envisioned, I know that your leadership, and I know that District Governor Mark Chipman will tell you that he's had an incredible year. I have visited many of your clubs online this year, and we are seeing club members online that were not able to attend our meetings. We're seeing people more often, we're seeing each other more often, we're meeting in different ways, and we're learning new skills that we never thought were possible. This year has taught us how to be kind. It's taught us how to listen. And it's taught us for sure how to reflect on what's important in our lives and in the lives of others. So my first tip would be to have goals, but be flexible. Second, and this is my favorite personal leadership quote or my personal mantra, and that's be yourself. Everyone else is already taken. I think it's a quote from Oscar Wilde. It's one of my favorites. There are 7.8 billion people on this planet, but there's only one of you. So be you. This was a lesson that I really learned the year I was club president. So as I said, I was a fairly new Rotarian, and I was nervous and I was intimidated. And I felt like I had to be the expert on everything. You know, somebody came and asked you a question, you had to know the answers, and you had to be that expert. I wasn't used to being in the front of the room. Sure, I ran a business, but running meetings, thanking speakers, inducting new members, and giving speeches at fundraisers and celebrations, not something I had ever done before in my life. And I was nervous. And I think I was trying to maybe be someone, or be someone I wasn't, or be what I thought people expected me to be and what they expected of me. And then I realized, you're chosen to be president because of you. So don't change. Be yourself. Have fun, mess up. Believe me, I mess up all the time. And in this virtual environment, it happens instantaneously and you're recorded. So it's there in perpetuity, right? But you know what? Be your true, authentic self and be genuine. Because honestly, every time I remind myself, every time I'm in doubt, I remind myself that your voice and your personal perspective and life experience brings innovation and alternate thought process and contributions to every conversation, to every club project, to everything we do. Don't be afraid to throw out big, audacious ideas or a new concept. And this also translates to our members. So as a leader, we need to create that, really that safe space where members feel like they can walk through the door and truly feel like they're included for who they are. Because when they do, that's when they will be engaged and really offer their perspectives. And we know how we benefit from that. And finally, just on being your true authentic self, radiate positive energy when you're in front of and speaking to your Rotary Club, because positive energy and passion are infectious. And I think that's one of the toughest things that some of our leaders have had to do this year, because we've had a lot of disappointment. And there are days, honestly, where even our mental health is up and down. And it's really thrown a lot at us. But if we can put on that brave front and that smiling face, it really is infectious, and it really motivates people, and it really makes them want to come to these online Rotary meetings because they know they're among friends, they know they'll get support. So, you know, be your true authentic self, but allow others to be in their space and meet them where they are as well. Number 3, you will make a difference in your year as president because you have the support of your team. Don't struggle during your year with skills that don't come naturally. And we all have them. I can name a few that I put off till the last minute because I it's not one of my favorite things to do, or I just don't feel like I have that skill set. So capitalize on what you're good at and empower your team to utilize their skills in the other areas. I think it comes down to a little bit of delegation, but it also comes down to empowering and engaging your team and giving them that ownership of the delegated skills that you give to them. Because we're all guilty of trying to accomplish too much. Just like I said, I felt I had to know everything. I felt I had to have my finger in every pot when I was the club president. You know, I had to be the ex officio on all the committees, and I, you know, sit in on every single meeting and be there for everyone. You know, again, we're just guilty of trying to take on too much, and I really want you to keep that in mind. Being the Rotary Club president will be the highlight of your year. So don't resent it by taking on too much. And it goes back to number one, right? My first tip, and that was to have goals, but be flexible. So it's the same thing about your expectations of yourself. Don't put those expectations on yourself if it's really not in your wheelhouse of skills. Be prepared and be flexible to share with others, and delegate and trust your team. This year has given us a new way of doing Rotary, and I hope you consider some of the positives and incorporate them into your year as president, and that you work with your president-elect and members of your leadership team to make it a permanent shift. This is a perfect opportunity in this online environment as we're thinking about new ways of meeting and how we're going to meet when we get back to being in person, and I can't wait for that day, believe me. But it's a really great opportunity to just reflect on how we've been conducting Rotary. And it's time that you as leader of your club, as you're preparing to lead your club, as you're talking to your incoming board, your membership chairs, it's time to ask your members what they want from their Rotary Club experience. Because everybody wants to be heard or asked, and this is the perfect time to do this. I like to speak about the blank white paper exercise. And just give your team, give your members a blank sheet of paper and ask them to design their optimum Rotary experience. Notice I didn't say their optimum Rotary Club, rather their Rotary experience. And encourage them to break all the rules. Don't worry about the rules, don't worry about the governance, just ask them to make dreams real. See what I just did with that? That was pretty cool, right? My old theme, I'm using it tonight a few times for my president's year. So make dreams real. Let them just think what could possibly be their Rotary experience. And then really take that time to reflect. So, you know, sometimes strategic planning can be very structured, and I believe in that process, but sometimes we don't always get to think really outside the box about our club experience. We talk about our goals, but we don't always talk about what our club experience would look like. And I really think that this is that perfect time to just sit down, reflect, and ask our members what they're looking for. You know, we began speaking of new club models years ago, and now we're seeing it come to fruition. We're seeing passport clubs, satellite clubs, e-clubs, clubs with a specific focus. And that we're seeing a lot more during this pandemic because we're not limited by geography. We're online all the time. So you could be on a water and sanitation project in Australia or in Africa and speaking about something that you're absolutely passionate about and forming a Rotary Club around this. And we're seeing that happen more and more. In fact, I was at a chartering of a Boy Scouts, or a Scouting America that have joined and formed a Rotary Club. And that's where their common interest was, but that the values of our two organizations are aligned. So we're really seeing some out-of-the-box club development, but really it's being driven by the members and what they want from their Rotary Club. We're inducting new members, we're chartering new innovative clubs, and we have put diversity, equity, and inclusion in our everyday conversations. And I believe with the commitment and the intention, and I know that you have a very strong DEI committee at the district level in 7070, and I know that many of the clubs are continuing that conversation as well. You know, 7070 geographically is not a large district compared to 7010, where I am now, which goes all the way up to Kapuskasing and out to Hearst. But my point is that even across 7070, DEI might look different, right? And so I think it's important to have these conversations at the club level, because if we don't, we're not reflecting our community. So I see that as a huge opportunity for us to really connect with our community, see who is not involved in our club, and make sure that we're having those partnership opportunities with them. This is honestly, with all these changes I'm talking about, it is a really, really exciting time. I think Neelam said it as well when he was talking about the environment. This is an exciting year to be a leader in Rotary for all the changes that are coming our way. And remember that we're a bottom-up organization, and change in culture happens with you, the club president, your leadership, and your club members. I can tell you that even if President-elect Shekhar Mehta was here, he would tell you that. You have more influence in our organization than he does as the president of our worldwide organization, because that's where the change happens, and it's different all over the world. So it's your time to lead. And as a leader, I'll go back to why I was persuaded to be club president. It was that tap on the shoulder. It was that important tap on the shoulder where somebody recognized perhaps a quality that, you know, I could lead, that it was my time to be the president of the club. It's your time as club president. This year, next year, going forward, and all the leaders on this call, to tap someone on the shoulder, to mentor them, to include them on your leadership team, because you're going to lead your Rotary Club a little stronger in June 30th, 2022. And I know that District Governor-elect Ron and the District Governor leadership team is here to support you. So my final message is good luck. I know you're going to be absolutely great. And thank you so much for allowing me to kind of reminisce about my year as club president and how amazing it was. And I miss the Rotary Club of Whitby. I miss Durham Region, and I miss District 7070. So I always love it when you invite me to come back and speak with you. So thanks so much.
So Valerie, we have a little bit of time. Would you be interested in honoring a couple of questions from our participants?
I certainly would.
Well, great, thank you. So Renata, I see your hand up. You're on mute. There you go.
Valerie.
Nice to see you, Renata.
Are there any other questions? We've got, there we go, Roger. Okay, Roger Tessier with the Rotary Club of Coburg.
Valerie, it's such a pleasure to hear you speak. I've heard so much about you. Past Governor Beth speaks so highly of you all the time. If the one question I'd like to ask you is, from a president who's going to be president again, what is the one thing that sets the whole year apart for you during that year?
Give a chance to get it right. I'm just kidding.
That's right.
You were probably asked to be president again because you did such a great job. And so, I think this year has thrown you some challenges as from an experienced president from last year. And so you have a chance to see what it was like to lead in an in-person world, and all these changes that Rotary and we've embraced, from meeting online to, finding that balance, that hybrid model that perhaps works for us. And it might be something like, I know the Rotary Club of Coburg is a very large club with a lot of committees and a very structured board, some great fundraisers, but maybe a chance to look at having our board meetings online if you didn't already, and just really finding that hybrid balance and respecting people's time. I think one of the outcomes of this pandemic, and I know that many of you on the phone can relate, many of us are small, medium-sized business owners that are being directly affected during this pandemic. And so finding a way to really give back to our community, Roger, maybe that's a focus of and I know you support the community through, I can't remember that fundraiser that you have, Beth, the
Waterfront?
The Waterfront Festival, yeah.
Yeah, Waterfront, yeah.
Yeah, but I would really just kind of take the opportunity, Roger, to look at everything you did in the first year and say, would I do it again? Would I improve it? Is it really important to my members? And how can we do it in this new world going forward? So I think it's an awesome opportunity for you to be president twice in these 2 years.
Our centennial that year as well.
you're hitting all the big milestone.
Thank you.
Beth, you have a question from Danny Cassidy and then Peter Hernandez.
Okay, so let's go. Yep, let's go 1, 2. Yep.
It's I just wanted to make a comment, Valerie. I've been a Rotarian for 9 years, and what you were saying earlier, I go to meetings, someone asks me to do something, I do it. But I'm finding out then this year here is the president-elect that I really don't know too much about Rotary. So everything that I've heard tonight is like a tidal wave. But what you were saying earlier actually has given me some confidence. And you're right, I have managed people, but it's basically they're getting paid and they don't want to lose their job, and you ask them to do something and they do it. I've never managed volunteers, and I think that's probably going to be the biggest challenge. But certainly in listening to you, you have lifted my spirits. Thank you.
Well, I'm glad, Danny. And, you know, I'm sure Trainer Beth will tell you that we have a robust online learning center. You know, you really bring up online with Rotary International, you really bring up an amazing point that, you know, when I was new, I was 3 years before I was a club president. And now I'm thinking back to this last year, Danny, and wondering how I would have managed if I was only an in-person Rotarian for 2 years and then an online president-elect with you know, being brand new to Rotary. In 9 years, you certainly have me beat, but there is a lot to learn. And you're right, this year of not being able to be together and experience, you know, in-person sharings is tough. But you know what? I think you've got it. I know you've got it. And just be yourself. You sound like a really engaging man who's, I think, going to lead really well.
Thanks. Peter.
Thank you. And to echo what Danny was saying, your talk was really engaging, and you just kind of humanized the whole role of president, incoming presidents for us, because a lot of it, sometimes we get caught up in the all the tasks that we have to learn and everything that we may be responsible for. But a lot of that also just rests on our own personal expectations, and you just help kind of take a lot of that weight off. So thank you.
Welcome.
My question is, what did you do in your year as president to help divvy up the pie with regards to responsibilities, committees, and tasks? Because like Rotary, like maybe in the private sector, sometimes you have 20% of the people doing 80% of the pulling. So how did you tackle that?
Yeah, that's a great point, Peter. And it was certainly present the year I was president, and I think it's still present. It is always tough. I think you're fortunate when you have some people who have held the roles for a long time, and that can be a positive or negative. Sometimes their iron fist grip on some of these roles that you'd like to kind of move them along is another difficult conversation that you have to have, right? So, you know, I really like to use that mentoring model. So if you've got people like that, you really need to encourage them to take on somebody else or make the roles, you know, a certain tenure so that you do get that fresh perspective. But yeah, it's a balancing act. I mean, you want to go to those people who you know are going to do 80% of the work because you can't shoulder the burden. But if I had any advice, it would be to get away from that in the future is to just put in those layers and make sure that there's mentorship opportunities, there's sharing of workload, because, you know, that 20%, they're feeling it too, right? They're feeling a certain amount of obligation and they don't want to let you down. And I think having that honest conversation with them, they're going to give 100% regardless, but at some point there's going to be a burnout situation happen, and then you're not going to get 100%. And that, you know, that 20% doing 80% of the work is all of a sudden, you know, really dialing back because they're self-preserving. So, you know, it is a balancing act, but I think the conversation that you can have with them and just be honest But build those layers is what I would suggest.
Great. If there are no further questions, I'm going to turn to Ron Dick to thank our speaker, and then I'm going to make a few comments to wrap up the evening and set the stage for our session next week. So over to Ron.
Thanks, Beth, and thank you, Valerie. You know, before I say thanks to Valerie, I got to say thanks to all of you. I know that the district governor job is going to be a big load, but it really doesn't feel that way because I've got the greatest class of president-elects that there has ever been. And I look forward so much to working with you in the coming year. I've been blessed with a great district leadership team, a great district governor team. We have all the right things moving in all the right directions. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Val, for those words of wisdom. Goals to be set, but be flexible. Make sure you be yourself. Make sure you're looking out into the community so that your club reflects the diversity of your community. We've all talked about it along the way, but Val, thank you very much for highlighting those. Thank you very much for coming back to visit with us in Durham. And we look forward to supporting you in your very important year as director and vice president. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And just a personal thank you, Valerie. Thank you for tonight. We're very proud. We're very proud that you are a Rotary International Director, and we're very, very proud that you are Vice President, Rotary International VP-elect, and that you will be serving as Vice President next year. We're really, really proud of you. And as a thank you for your presentation tonight, we are making a donation to the Rotary Foundation in your name.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. And so to the president-elects, I just want to set the stage for next week. We have a full hour-and-a-half presentation on a vibrant club. Sandy Amani is district governor nominee for our neighboring district 7080, and she's going to be doing a full session on a vibrant club. I did send everyone some materials today that Sandy had requested. It's not necessary that you read them or that you fill them out. She just wanted you to have them available. And if you could please bring them with you, ideally printed. She is going to do, we are going to have some breakout sessions where you will be able to work on those. So if you would download those materials I sent to you today, have them available for next week, that'd be great. And we look forward to seeing everybody next Wednesday at 7 o'clock. So have a great week, everybody. Stay well. And if anybody wants to stay afterwards for about a half an hour, we're going to leave the line open. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Everybody, good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Week.
Don't everybody talk at once. Now we have our area focus coordinators all hanging around. So a few of you mentioned you were drinking from the fire hose. So here's your opportunity to have a bit more of a chit chat about the key areas of focus that we have in Rotary and some of the great people we have looking after each of the areas.
We've left them speechless.
Well, I thought Amy would have a comment from Bowmanville. Come on, Amy. You're on mute.
Still muted, Amy. While Amy's trying to come in, I know what I felt like in my president-elect year. With everything that you've been presenting tonight as an example, I was totally overwhelmed. I felt like I had been pounded under. But everybody needs to learn that, you know, it's like trying to eat an elephant. You can only do it a little bit at a time. And if you get more people to help you, guess what? You will eventually eat that elephant.
the problem is, John, as I see it, is we hear about the areas of focus, but generally we encounter them mostly when people are talking about global grants. We don't think of them quite as much on district grants, although equally apply there. And so that's why we were so enthusiastic to participate tonight, because this will, I think, really help to engage the president-elect and help them understand a little bit more about the areas of focus, what they are, and that we actually do have a district team behind the areas of focus and that we are available. So we really thank both Beth and District Governor-elect Ron for the opportunity. And we understand completely that we went over a great deal of information this evening, and that is a challenge, there's no question. But if everybody just picks up just a little bit about what each area of focus is covering, but I think what really reflects is the fact that there's so much crossover from one area of focus to another area of focus. And that's part of the best practices when people are working on projects, that if they can identify a key area of focus that they're working on and not concentrate on the ancillary will come along, but that way they'll have much more success, particularly if they are involved in writing a grant.
I think,
sorry.
I think one of the messages that to reflect on what Valerie said is that for President-elects, and I'm looking, there's only a few left on, is that you're not alone. There's a whole group of people, resources to help you out. So if you're thinking of a water project, you can start and ask the questions. You have a face and a name to go to. And the whole purpose of us at the district level is to support the clubs and help them succeed. So Valerie's message, you're not alone.
Yeah, I think my area of focus, I sit and I listen to directors' reports and how they can do things for people and how they can spend money. My concern, and maybe because I'm Scottish, to pay for this, my concern going in here is, where is the money coming from? We had an online auction, we had a TV auction, an online auction, and now we don't have it. And I'm being told we probably won't have it next year. We have companies like Park Property who give us money and to disperse, right? Now the person who is a contact for Park Properties, if he moved, that would be gone, right? So I understand everything that we can do, but my concern right now looking forward is fundraising and how we're going to pay for this.
Danny, don't you think that you maybe need to concentrate now on the feet on the ground, doing things? I mean, the environmental one, you don't need to spend money. You just need to get out there and do things, whether that's picking up plastic or
I understand that, and that's exactly right, and we do that. Like, we'll go out and clean up parks, we'll go and do all these things, but we do have commitments that we would like to meet, and we would like to. I'm just nervous going into this year, looking at where I am going to get my funds from. So that's all. It's not driving me crazy or anything like that, but it is a concern for me. Yeah.
You're absolutely right, Danny. And to, my perspective from my own club out here is that we have a whole list of things we'd like to do, projects, service projects, both locally and possibly global, but we have a whole list of those. And beside that, we look at our fundraising opportunities, which have changed drastically with COVID. And we try to match up. We've got X dollars so we can do X projects. And that's basically all we can do. And the comment made about, feet on, like John said, get your feet on the ground. There's lots of things you can do hands-on. you're right. Every club well, probably every club in the world is struggling with the fundraising right now because of COVID.
I actually, sorry, I'm taking up a bit of time here. I go on the Right to Conquer Cancer every year. This year will be my 12th year. And I met Rotarians because our club sponsors, and I have a big Rotary stuff on my jersey, and I have a team with Rotary on it. So Rotarians will come up to me and say, who's the Rotarian? Then they'll look at the old guy and they'll say, it must be you. Right. So I've often wondered, because of the kind of money that these cycle runs make, why Rotary has never ever done anything like that, or not that I know of.
They have. There's huge rides that go on down in the southern states.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And they did one up in Peterborough for the hospice. I know that because I rode in that one. But I don't think that's a one club thing. I think that's
again, Danny, it's, as Valerie said it, or someone said earlier, it's a bottom-up organization. So there's nothing off the table as far as ideas that clubs can come up with. If you wanted to put together a ride like that, there's lots of different ways of doing it.
Yeah, because I couldn't do it in Scarborough. I would need to be in Bowmanville or somewhere like that, right? You know.
So actually, one of our Rotarians here, a family member is a Rotarian in Guelph, and they do exactly what you said. It's like some sort of like they do a bike
rally.
A bike rally, yeah. Because it's Renee's sister, right? Isn't it?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. So we've
Steve
asked
K.
for information about it. So I don't we've received it yet, but
we do have the Foundation Walk, which is a district event that's held usually in the fall. We of course weren't able to have it this year, but one year several times ago we had a walk and we had a car rally associated with it. The teams, clubs in the East from, I guess, Port Hope East are the group that's organizing it for Ron's year coming up. There's no reason that group couldn't incorporate a bike ride within that walk. It doesn't have to be just walking.
Yeah. That's that's the kind of information I need. I need to get an idea because it is a complicated endeavor.
Well, we can talk about that, Ron, come walk time.
I would be happy to assist in that or in the community.
Danny, if you contact Steve Kay at the Bowmanville Club, he is currently considering a bike rally. And I believe he was going to try and get some of the Durham region clubs involved and maybe heading further east to Coburg and Port Hope. Maybe he needs to contact you as well.
Yeah, well, that would be ideal. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. That's a great help. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Our club, Whitby Sunrise, has a cycling club. You know, we have about a normal situation, we have a dozen people usually come up.
Yeah, I actually joined the Durham Cycling Club, and then this happened, and I've never been on a ride.
Well, you need to ride the road between Newcastle and Port Hope along the lakeshore. You'll hundreds and hundreds of bikes out there when the weather's good.
Yeah, I do a few rides. I do the MS ride, the Grand Bend to London, and they all make money, right?
Yeah, Bob. You know what the best part of that ride is?
What's that?
Lunch at Olympus Burgers.
That's true. That defeated all of your calories when you got off. That's right.
And you try not to lose it as you go back up that hill to get out of Port Hope.
That's right. That's right. No, it's a great. That's a great road to drive. I have old cars and bikes. It's a great place to go.
Yeah.
Can I just,
alrighty, folks.
Comment?
Did we have any more?
Amy?
Can I just make a quick comment? I'm a relatively new Rotarian. I'm almost 5 years in, but this is the best group ever. About 2 years ago, and Ron Dick will attest to this, my email was hacked. Do you remember?
Yes.
And I had calls from, Ron called me. I think I sent him one email ever. And he called, he's like, are you okay? I had calls from Florida, from Rotarians. Like it was incredible. You know, like I actually made a post. I said, like, yes, I was hacked, but my God, am I a loved person? Yeah. So being a Rotarian, phenomenal.
That's the key to it. You get friends all over the world.
Everywhere.
I mean, Valerie and I went to India together with Mark and my wife.
Well, Richard, I think we've covered everything. Thank you, everyone, for your comments, for your participation. A special thank you to the area focus coordinators for hanging around and giving us a great presentation tonight. Don't leave these guys alone. Make sure that if you've got questions about any of the areas of focus, please call them. They're there, they've done it. They're a great resource for you. And I know Richard and the team are anxious to be of help in any way that they can. So thanks, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll talk to you next Wednesday.
Thank you very much.
Bye,
Take care now.
Night.
Good night.